Hi guys. Welcome to the explanation of the book Ghost of the Silent Hills by Anita Krishan. I have tried my best to explain correctly, but if you find any information missing or wrong, please ignore it. So, without wasting time, let's get into it. Chapter 1. An Uncanny Attachment. The book opens with a short introduction by the author, describing how she grew up listening to stories of haunting incidents in Mashobra, her birthplace. It is a small, serene village located about 13 kilometers away from Shimla. The book is divided into two parts, each containing 5 stories, making a total of 10 haunting tales. The first story of part 1 is titled An Uncanny Attachment. It begins in 1952, when a Gram Savak training center was established in Mashobra, and the author's father was appointed as its principal. The author's family lived in the same building that housed the training center. The haunting incidents narrated in this story occurred even before the author's birth. She came to know about them much later, when she was a college-going girl. The training center had about 20 students and 6 teaching faculty members. Only one of them was married, a man named Raj Vaidya. In mid-January 1953, the students and most of the faculty were on winter vacation for nearly 2 months. However, a few staff members and the author's family continued to stay at the center. Everything was fine until one cold evening during dinner time, when there was an unexpected, loud knock on the door. The principal wondered who could be visiting at such an hour. He got up and opened the door, only to find Krishan Das Negi, the compounder of the center, standing there, shivering and rubbing his cold hands. "Sir," said Krishan, "Hari Ram has been suffering from a very high fever for 2 days. We gave him paracetamol tablets a couple of times, but he isn't getting any better." Hari Ram worked at the center as a peon. The principal, now worried, told Krishan that Hari Ram needed to be admitted to the hospital immediately. Krishan replied that the driver, Pitamber, had already left for his home, which was about 3 kilometers away. "So tonight," Krishan said, "it's not possible to take him to the hospital." The principal then instructed Krishan to bring Pitamber early in the morning and take Hari Ram to the hospital at Shimla. The next morning was extremely cold. Krishan and Pitamber carried Hari Ram into the jeep and set off towards Shimla. Before leaving, the principal told Krishan to call him once they reached the hospital. Hours passed with no word from Krishan, and the principal began to worry. He went out for a short walk to calm his nerves, while the author's mother too grew anxious. Then, suddenly, they heard the sound of a jeep approaching. To their horror, it was Hari Ram's lifeless body that had been brought back by Krishan and Pitamber. The author's mother was stunned to learn that Hari Ram was no more. Krishan later explained what had happened. That morning, the weather was terrible, and on their way to Shimla, they encountered a massive mound of snow blocking the road. Unable to move further, they watched helplessly as Hari Ram's condition worsened. Soon, he stopped breathing. At first, they thought he had fallen asleep, but they quickly realized he had died. After his death, a condolence meeting was held at the center. Everyone attended, except Raj Vaidya. He arrived later, without his wife, Nima, who had gone to stay with her parents. Nima had 2 daughters, a 3-year-old named Vera and a younger infant just a few months old. When summer arrived, Nima returned to Mashobra and resumed her usual routine. On the afternoon of May 10, 1953, Nima was at home with her 2 daughters, while her husband Raj had not yet returned from the office. Suddenly, she had an unexpected visitor. "How are you, ma'am?" asked the man politely. "Oh, Hari Ram," Nima exclaimed in surprise. "I'm fine. Seeing you after such a long time." Unbeknownst to her, this was the ghost of Hari Ram. No one had told Nima about his death. Hari Ram asked about little Vera, saying he wanted to play with her. But since both children were asleep, Nima asked him to come in the evening instead. Nima knew Hari Ram well. He used to play with Vera before. He had always been kind and gentle, so she felt no fear. That evening, when Raj returned home, Nima told him about Hari Ram's visit. At first, Raj thought she was mistaken. But when Nima insisted that she had indeed seen and spoken to Hari Ram, Raj was shocked. He revealed to her that Hari Ram had died during the winter break. Nima was completely shaken. How could Hari Ram visit her after death? She was terrified. Raj and Nima decided not to share this incident with anyone. Weeks passed without any further disturbances. Life returned to normal, until one afternoon, Nima again heard a knock at the door. It was Hari Ram's ghost, this time looking pale and frightening. His voice had a strange, chilling tone. Realizing who it was, Nima panicked. She grabbed both her daughters and ran out of the house toward the center building. The road was rough, and she sustained several injuries along the way, but she didn't stop until she reached the door of the center. "Please open the door," she cried, banging frantically. The author's mother, who had been asleep, woke up and opened the door. She was shocked to see Nima, bruised, terrified, and trembling. Nima told her about the ghost of Hari Ram and begged her to save her daughters. Chapter 2. Shadow in the Dark. This story starts with the appointment letter received by the father of the author in March 1956 to join the Agriculture Institute at Wildflower Hall as a principal. This institute was located around 15 kilometers away from Shimla. Now, the author tells about the haunting incident that happened with her close family member, Narendra, who was the brother of her father. Narendra was about 25 years old that time. He was an engineer and was posted at Jori around 150 kilometers away from Shimla. One day, Narendra called his brother to tell him that he will be visiting them this weekend. He told his brother that he will take a bus on Friday evening about 6:00 and reach around 10:30 at night. Although the father of the author was not happy about his brother's idea of taking the bus in the evening, because he was scared of his brother's night journey could be dangerous since the road was pretty much accident-prone. Now on Friday, accepted Narendra took the bus after finishing his office work. He boarded on the bus. There were 8 more travelers as well. All of them looked locals by their attire. Their journey was going fine by now, until all of a sudden the bus had stopped in the middle of the road. There was no sign of human habitation outside. It was dark and scary. Driver and conductor, named Ramprasad and Beam Singh respectively, came down from the bus and tried to figure out what went wrong. Soon Narendra and other passengers came down from the bus, to get some idea for why had the bus suddenly stopped. Driver Ramprasad then with an apology informed Narendra that the bus was hit with big boulder and the front axle of the bus was broken. The area was actually an accident-prone. Just 2 months ago there was an accident in which 6 passengers died on the spot. Now, they were all in a big trouble as they have to spend whole night in the bus at such a dark and scary place. They had no choice apart from staying and waiting for some help. Narendra was thinking if Head had listened to his brother, he wouldn't be at such a big trouble. Also, there was no way to inform his brother of this situation. His brother must be worried for him. Everyone decided to stay and wait for any vehicle passes by. All of them went inside the bus and sat together in a group. Narendra also joined them. While sitting inside the bus, one of the passengers brought up the topic of an accident that happened last year. A bus full of passengers had a terrible accident. Not even a single person survived. The passengers told Narendra that they aren't just afraid of accidents, they were also afraid of ghosts as well. But Narendra laughed and said he doesn't scare since he doesn't believe in ghosts. Soon, another passenger named Dharaj too insisted and said he also used to behave like Narendra. He also had no belief on ghosts. But later he started believing in it. After what happened to his son Rutan, everyone was listening to Dharaj. He told when his son was only 17, he once encountered a ghost of a girl sitting on a rock near footpath. That girl looked beautiful. She looked at Rutan and gave a luring smile. Rutan too looked at her and smiled, and then he walked on. That girl then started following him. At first Rutan thought that the girl was showing interest in him. He had no idea that it was not an ordinary girl. She was a ghost. After some time she suddenly vanished. Rutan then tried to find, but couldn't. He then realized that it was a ghost. Rutan didn't tell anyone about this incident and started preparing for his metric exams. One day while he was studying, he saw the girl in his room. He can't understand how did she come inside his room. The door of the room and the windows were shut. That girl was standing right there and invited Rutan by stretching her arms. He was very scared, but still he didn't tell anyone, not even his father. It was the big mistake he committed. Since that girl started coming into his room every night. She wouldn't say anything, just stretches her arms and invite Rutan by her gesture. After some time, that even started coming in his dreams as well. Rutan then stopped eating properly and fell ill. Only when it was too late he told us about her. Desraj, after knowing all this, decided to arrange an exorcism. For exorcists were called to perform the rituals. While performing exorcism, they heard the screams of a woman started coming from where Rutan was sitting. After some time, exorcists declared that the spirit has gone now. They also told Daraj that it was a spirit of a young unmarried girl who had died an unnatural death, and she was in love with Rutten. After discussing all these haunting incidents, they decided not to discuss anymore. It was the time for their sleep. All of them went to sleep. The silence of that place was really creepy. On the other side, at Wildflower Hall, the brother of Narendra was getting really tense. It was around 11:30, and he had no information about his brother. This made him very anxious. Narendra tried much to get a good sleep, but he just couldn't do it. It had only been a short while he heard the sound of an approaching vehicle. Everyone stood up and made sure to stop that vehicle. That vehicle was an army truck. All of them boarded on that truck. It was the moment of relief for all the passengers and for Narendra as well. After a short intro with the truck drivers, those drivers shared a similar kind of haunting experience that they had earlier while driving in this area. Narendra used to consider himself a strong man. He had never thought that he would be so scared after listening all these haunting incidents. Later, the truck driver stopped his truck and told Narendra that from here he has to walk, that Wildflower Hall was near. It would take him about 10 minutes to reach there. Narendra thanked to the drivers and left the truck. It was completely dark outside. He was not even being able to see the time on his watch. After a few minutes, his eyes adjusted to the dim natural light. He then started walking towards his destination. While he was walking, he suddenly saw a woman starting at him. Narendra was wondering that what this woman is doing at such a late night. Dismissing his scary thoughts, he kept on walking and ignored that woman completely. After a short walk, he again looked back, and that woman was just right behind him. That woman was following him, but he didn't listen her footsteps. Narendra was really scared. His heart was racing. He thought that she could be a local woman, but why would a woman stay outside at this time, at such a dark and scary place? He quickly reminded himself about all those stories that he heard on the bus and the truck. He quickly increased his pace and tried to avoid making any contact with that woman. After some time, he somehow managed to reach the institute, and that woman also vanished in the dark. There was a cottage near that building. He went there and knocked the door, but nobody answered. Maybe nobody lived here. Just when he turned back, he again saw that woman, and this time she was looking more scary. He quickly ran towards the main building. At the main building, he met the watchman. Narendra told him that he is the brother of the principal. Watchman then picked up his lantern and saw that woman behind Narendra. Narendra quick understood and said, "Don't look at her." The watchman was confused until Narendra explained him that how that woman was following him. The watchman too got scared after hearing it all. Watchman then informed the principal, and he came to see his brother immediately. Narendra was trembling and was very scared. It was a horrible experience for Narendra which he'll never forget. Chapter 3. The Unfinished Party. This haunting story starts when the principal of that Wildflower Hall had received his promotion and the transfer order as well. That post of the principal was to be filled by the person named Mr. Kulkarni. He was about to come from Delhi for this post. While the family of the author got busy packing their stuff, the principal had arranged for the new principal's stay at the cottage. That cottage was situated about 50 meters away from the main building. Although no one wanted to stay in that cottage because of some rumors were prevalent that the cottage was a haunted place. The cottage was shut for a long time, but it was the time to open and make it clean so that the new principal and his wife could stay here. A young boy named Bolub was assigned to clean the cottage. When the boy had started his work, he began to listen scary whispers. He tried to find out from where these weird noises are coming from, but he couldn't figure it out. Bolub kept listening those strange noises, and suddenly he heard the words, "Get out." He was very scared, and he immediately left that cottage and went to the office of the principal and informed him his haunting experience. The principal, though, listened to him, but he didn't believe all these stories. The boy then left that job and went somewhere else to find the new job. On the other side, it was only 2 days to leave the Wildflower Hall by the family of the author. Soon, Mr. and Mrs. Kulkarni had arrived there. They were in their late 30s and had no children. The staff and the students of the institute had gathered to welcome them. After all, Mr. Kulkarni was their new principal. Mr. and Mrs. Kulkarni were enjoying the place, and they loved it. The principal, though, suggested the Kulkarnis to shift to the main building of the institute, but Kulkarnis were happy to stay at the cottage. They said they do not need a large accommodation. The cottage was enough for them, they said. Once the couple had started living in that cottage, they started hearing weird noises. She was very scared at these scary noises. Late at night, Mrs. Kulkarni heard the people talking, and it was felt like some kind of party was organized there. She wondered why nobody informed her about the party before. On the next day, Mrs. Kulkarni and Mrs. Sharma, the mother of the author, had a cup of tea and a little chit-chat. Mrs. Kulkarni then asked about the last night party from Mrs. Sharma. Mrs. Sharma said that she has no idea what she is talking about. There was no party going on last night, though she said that this Wildflower Hall was a hotel when the country was ruled by British. Mrs. Kulkarni was somewhat anxious after listening all this. She was pretty sure that there was a party going on last night. But how is this possible that this lady is saying there wasn't any party? She insisted to Mrs. Sharma that she clearly heard of people talking and enjoying party near the oak tree, which was close to the cottage's bedroom window. It was a little strange to hear it. Why would someone have a party outside the building at such a harsh cold weather? This didn't make much of a sense. When the principal of the institute heard all these things, he immediately called the night guard and asked him, was there any kind of party going on without his knowledge? The night guard wasn't shocked about this statement and said, "Sir, there was no party going on last night. Those were some mysterious sounds coming from that oak tree." Mrs. Kulkarni immediately said, "I told you so, Mrs. Sharma, that there was some party going on." The night guard also revealed that once he was in the cottage and someone pushed him and said, "Get out." After knowing all these haunting things, the Kulkarnis were totally got flabbergasted. They refused to go near the cottage. Somehow their luggage was brought to the main building. Later, just after 2 months, Mr. Kulkarni sought his immediate transfer back to Delhi because his wife was very ill. She was suffering from the mental disturbance and depression. Chapter for the hospital room. This story begins when in one of the hospital, a loud scream was heard by 2 nurses who were at the night duty in the hospital. Now, the matron Sister Nirmala also heard the screams and rushed to check what has happened. She asked the nurses about those screams. Nurse Usha, who was the older one of those 2, said those screams were coming from room 23 from last few months. That room 23 was a bit scary, dark, and it was situated on the first floor of the hospital. Julian, the younger nurse, also said, approving Usha, that those screams are heard. She also said, and another strange thing, that those screams come particularly when the room is empty or vacant. Sister Nirmala just couldn't believe what these 2 nurses said. She decided to go to that room and check. She went inside that room. That room was dark, creepy, and a bit cold as well. She was looking at room, and then suddenly she stopped at the window. She felt that someone was watching her from that window. There was some kind of a shadowy figure which began coming towards her. She got really scared and immediately rushed to the door, but the door was shut. He shouted and banged on the door. Suddenly the door was opened, and those 2 nurses and the ward boy stood there outside. This incident happened on the October 1968 in a private hospital of the Shimla. From now onwards, the scene shifts to May 1969. A woman named Arunima was about to be shifted to that room 23 after her delivery procedure. Her family members were really happy to have a sweet child. Now, it was the time to SHFT both mother and the baby to that room. Arunima's mother Renuka was also staying with her in that room to take care of her and the baby. After their long day, now it was their bedtime. All 3, Renuka, Arunima, and the baby, quickly went to sleep. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, Renuka woke up from a disturbing nightmare. She wondered about the man with blood on his body in her dream. It felt so real. Dismissing her eerie thoughts, she again went to sleep. Few minutes later, she heard Arunima moaning and also felt like she saw a shadow near Arunima. They both were really scared, and they also heard the scary male voice asking, "Where is she?" Now, this was too much for them. Renuka rued to the baby, and Arunima took both of them out of the room immediately. The nurses in the hospital also notices both of them. Renuka and Arunima informed those nurses that there was someone in that room. It was a ghost, and we can't stay in that room, they said. The whole hospital staff was shocked at this incident. Staff members were also talking about the room and agreed to that fact. There is definitely a ghost in that room 23. Arunima and Renuka were shifted to another new room on the same floor. While they were thinking about that incident, Matron Nirmala came to their room. She was worried about them. Nirmala told the ladies that when they were allotted that room, she protested with the clerical staff and said there is something wrong in that room. Both the ladies Arunima and Renuka were shocked to know that Matron Nirmala knew about the ghost. Nirmala said that she tried to inform the authorities, but they don't believe me. Both the ladies told Nirmala that they can't stay here no matter what. They'll leave this hospital. After all, who would stay at such a creepy hospital? But matron Nirmala politely said your discharge is scheduled for tomorrow. You have to rest for one more day. It's the norm of the hospital. Nirmala also said that these weird things happens only in that room, and then she explained the reason behind it, which was kept as a secret. She said it all started about 1 year ago, when a seriously injured man was brought up in the hospital by the police. That man was injured by his own uncle. He was attacked by the dagger into his chest. That time there was a doctor who was very much experienced. He pulled out that dagger at once. He might have thought it's necessary to save his life. Then a lot of blood was coming out from that man's body. Although that doctor had no intention of doing any harm, but he should have been careful since that dagger turned out to be a bit curved. In order to stop the blood, I have tried everything, but I could not stop the bleeding. Later he was taken to that room, 23, where he took his last breath. And I lied to the senior doctor that the dagger was removed after his death. I did this to save that careless doctor. I was the part of that bad conspiracy. After some time of this incident, I went to that room, and then I saw a shadow of that man. He was angry at me because I let him die. After listening all this, Arunima and Renuka were completely in shock. They couldn't believe all this had happened in this hospital. But Nirmala comforted both the ladies by saying that they are safe in this new room. Soon, Arunima realized that her gold chain was left in that room. She pleaded to matron Nirmala to send someone trustworthy to bring that gold chain. Nirmala said, "Don't worry, you'll get your chain." She then left the ladies and tried to find someone who can go to that room and bring that chain. But all the nurses were busy with other patients, and ward boys were missing as well. She then decided to go to that room and bring that chain. Since it was the daytime, she wasn't much scared to go there. She hesitatingly entered that room. There pure silence in that room, and it felt cold and dark. Suddenly, the door was shut. She got really scared and rushed to open the door, but just couldn't do it. She banged the door and cried for help. Hearing such noises, the nurses also rushed to open it from outside, but all gone in vain. They couldn't just open it. She then felt that somebody was right behind her. It was that man's ghost smiling at her helplessness. Nirmala's hair was bouncing in fear, and then she suddenly fell on the floor. After some time she again woke up and saw that ghost in the room. She panicked and said, "Please let me go, Hari. I'm sorry." From now onwards we get to know the plot. Actually, Nirmala was the aunt of that man who died in that hospital. Her husband had stabbed the dagger on his chest. His husband was a jealous and an evil man. He was having his eyes on that ghost man's bride-to-be. He was about to get married soon. Nirmala said while crying in fear that her husband indeed was an evil man, but she tries to save him. All this happened because of the blunder done by that amateur doctor. Nirmala again pleaded to spare her as she had a family. But the ghost was smiling and was looking something behind her. Nirmala too looked behind and got flabbergasted as she saw her own dead body lying on the floor. Chapter 5. Lonely in Death. This story begins when a person named Sagar had his transfer to Chamba. Chamba was his birthplace. He spent his childhood here and did his schooling as well. Later he left Chamba for his further studies at Jalandhar. This was the moment of happiness and joy for his parents as he was coming back, with his wife and Ankur, his 3-year-old son. As Sagar reached his hometown on an August evening of 1965, his family received a warm welcome from his parents. Since it was a long journey, Ankur had gone to sleep earlier than usual. Now, the couple were too about to go for rest. Sagar told his wife Sushma that he was feeling something strange. Although this place was very close to him, but something was not right. Next day, he went to his office, did all his office work, and then returned home. He then played a little with his son Ankur. After spending some time with family, he went for a quick rest. It only had been a couple of minutes, he suddenly woke up. He felt like someone had just woke him up. He then jumped out of his bed and looked everywhere in the room, but he found none. He immediately rushed to his wife and asked why did she wake him up. Sushma was completely confused. She refused and said she didn't wake him up. Ankur, his son, was also sitting in the corner and was playing with his toys. Sushma suggested that possibly Sagar must be dreaming. Now after having their dinner, they all went to sleep. Now, few days had passed, everything was fine, until one evening. When he was about to close the window, he then noticed a shadow outside. He immediately went outside to check, but he found no one. He had a weird feeling that something was not right. Something was troubling him, but he was unable to understand it completely. Later, once again he saw that shadow outside. This time he was very scared and told his wife about it. Sushma and Sagar tried to fix this problem with the help of a priest by doing some sort of rituals. Though it helped Sagar a bit. But one night Sagar had a dream where he witnessed himself as a teenage boy about 16 years old. He was playing hockey, and he saw his childhood friend Shiv playing with him as well. Suddenly he woke up, though he was sweating, but the dream made him smile for his childhood days. Next day, in the morning, he told about the dream to his wife and showed his interest to visit his friend's home. Few days passed, and one day they both decided to visit his friend's home, assuming that his friend must be married by now and possibly went out of the town for his career growth. Sagar and his wife Sushma then reached his friend's house, and they met the parents of Shiv. At first, old parents of Shiv couldn't recognize, but soon they realized that it was Sagar, Shiv's old childhood friend. Seeing Sagar, the old couple started crying. Sagar and Sushma were confused. The father of Shiv informed Sagar that Shiv is no more. They had lost their only child in a bus accident. Hearing this, Sagar was shocked. The news of that bus accident was known to Sagar, but he had no idea about that Shiv, his friend, died in that accident. Shiv's father told Sagar that Shiv used to remember him, and he used to consider Sagar as his brother. After visiting the house of Shiv, Sagar and Sushma left Shiv's house, promising they'll come again to see them. Next day, while having breakfast with his parents, Sagar told about his friend Shiv's demise. He also stated that he had been seeing a dream in which he and Shiv were playing hockey. Later, they both again went to that priest for advice. The priest advised Sagar that he must confront his dreams strongly and tell Shiv that you don't want to go with him. Next time, Sagar again had a dream in which Shiv was not a young boy anymore. He had become a grown man, and he was asking Sagar to come with, but couldn't say anything. Out of distress, Sagar suddenly woke up and told his wife that this time he saw Shiv as a full-grown man. Later again, Shiv came in his dream and again asked him to come, but this time Sagar said loudly that he can't come with Shiv and told him to go away. Few weeks passed, and the dreams stopped coming. Sagar was now more relaxed and concentrated on his work. Soon, in the beginning of April, when everything came back to normal, Sagar remembered that he made a promise to Shiv's parents that he'll visit them again. Both Sushma and Sagar went again to the parents of Shiv, but the door was locked. They decided to return home, but suddenly he heard someone saying that, "Sagar, wait, Shiv's parents are back." Sagar turned back, but he found no one. They both wondered who called out his name. They got scared and rushed to their home. Now, after some time, Sagar had to go for his official tour. He then packed his suitcase and spent some time with his family and left. Next day, a dead body came. Sadly, Sagar was no more. He died in an accident. Shockingly, this tragedy happened on a same spot where Shiv died in a bus accident. Everyone was cursing that spot, assuming something definitely was wrong in that place. Sushma was so sad she cried for his husband a lot. In the evening, outside her home, she saw two ghostly shadows holding hands, and the shadows were asking Sushma to come as well. Part 2. Chapter 6. The Third Roommate. This is a story of two roommates who were also sisters, Nidhi and Manisha. Nidhi was elder to Manisha. She used to work as the manager at a telecom company, and Manisha was a designer in an export company. They shifted in this new house just 2 days ago and somehow managed to settle their stuff in their new house. Later, while both the sisters were sipping through their cup of tea, they noticed something, though it wasn't clear, but soon they saw that the dustbin was toppled and the garbage was scattered. They assumed that it could be the act of mice which might be hiding somewhere in the house. They chose to ignore this. Now, both the sister had started experiencing uncanny incidents, like Nidhi seeing a dream in which she heard that someone called her name and asked why did she come to live in this apartment. Sometimes, the sisters used to hear weird noises coming from the kitchen or the bathroom and from the bedroom as well. Though, they had no clear idea about these happenings, but deep down they had realized that something was wrong here. Few days passed. Manisha now had to go to Singapore for an official tour. Nidhi had to stay alone in this house for a week. Now, apparently it is going to be a challenge for her, as she now was aware of weird incidents in the house. She wasn't ready for this, but she can't do anything either. While alone in the apartment on evening, Nidhi saw a shadow of a man on the terrace. She was confused and scared, but the shadow soon suddenly disappeared. She couldn't understand what was happening in that house. She wondered if that house is haunted. Later, Nidhi decided to stay with her aunt. She requested her aunt to let her stay with her this weekend. She spent her weekend with her aunt, and returned to her house on Monday. Soon, again she started experiencing as if someone was in the room. Now, Nidhi was 100% sure that there is definitely something wrong in this place, and she cannot continue to live here like this. Both the sisters decided to talk about this to Mrs. Middle, who was the owner of that haunted house. When the sisters asked about everything, the lady revealed about the ghost. She said that there was a tenant used to live here. He was a young slim man. Just a week before his getting married, his bride-to-be had an accident in which she died on the spot. He was very upset about this. Few years ago his parents had also died, and now his bride-to-be. All these incidents had made him broken deep down. Later, he committed suicide by jumping down from the terrace. Hearing this tragedy, both sisters were really sad for him. They prayed for him to rest in peace. The sisters continued to live in that house for another 4 years. They didn't feel any uncanny experience. It seems like that the ghost wanted someone to pray for him, and he left. Chapter 7: Horror in a Dormitory. This story is based on a family dispute between two brothers, Apindra and his cousin Harideb. Actually, it was a dispute related to property. One day both brothers' parents were killed by some dacoits as they had an idea about their richness. As a result of this incident, Apindra took over his control on the property. Later, when Harideb also asked for his share in the property, but he didn't get enough for what he was entitled. Harideb tried to put some pressure in order to get his share, but Apindra had bad intentions. Although Apindra was a very powerful and influential person, but he was challenged by his brother in the court for his share. He knew he would lose the case, and he was very angry about this. Then he decided to take revenge from his brother. He made a plan to kill the twin daughters of his brother with help of a woman with whom he had an extramarital affair. Her name was Udbala. From no words, the scene shifts to the girls' college in Calcutta, where the granddaughter of Apindra, Sanya, took her admission. The woman, Mrs. Udbala, was also present at college as warden. She seemed very strict to the students, and no one actually liked her personality. Sanya and her college friends were not at all pleased by the strict behavior of Udbala. They found her very strange. Later, in dormitory, Sanya started experiencing uncanny moments. She first thought it was the act of her seniors. Very soon she and her friends realized that it wasn't their seniors. When they talked to their seniors, they reveled that the dorm was haunted. Long time ago, 2 girls were found dead in that dorm where Sanya and her friends were staying. In that whole case, that warden Udbala was suspicious, but there was not solid evidence to put her behind the bars. One day, the situation gone beyond everyone's expectation when Sanya and her friends had a really scary experience when the ghost of those twins attacked Sanya, and suddenly she completely became like a statue, motionless and mute. Sanya's friends immediately went to the principal and informed their experience in that dorm. The principal immediately called Udbala to see what's happening in that dorm. At first she was hesitant to enter, but she couldn't avoid the pressure of the situation as the principal of the college was getting angry on her. The moment when she entered the dorm, she was lifted by the invisible force and eventually dragged to the bathroom, later found brutally killed. It was the same place where 2 girls were also found dead. Chapter 8: A Little Girl's Mission. This is story of a small girl, Lucy, who used to be very happy and lovely child, but now she found herself in a very delicate situation as her parents were not happy with each other. She had a friend named Susie. She was her neighbor and her best friend as well. Lucy used to go her home and play with her. She really enjoyed playing with her and used to wonder why wasn't she born as Susie's sister. It would have been amazing. But the truth was very far from her imagination. She was not happy with her parents being fighting with each other. Lucy's father had an affair with another woman, and he was not much interest to stay with her mom. Lucy knew all these things, and she hated that woman whom his father was having an affair with. One fine day, Lucy went Susie's home to play with her, and she had coughed. Susie's mom noticed that Lucy was not well. She called Lucy's mom and informed the seriousness about Lucy's health. Lucy's mom replied with a slight harsh tone that she had an appointment with a doctor, and soon she'll see a doctor. Sarah, Susie's mom, knew that she was lying. She felt that something is definitely not right. Later, Susie informed her mom that Lucy is not coming to school, neither she comes home to play with her. Sarah decided to go Lucy's home to find out the reason behind her not coming to play with her daughter. Both mom and daughter went to Lucy's home, but they found that the door was locked. Sarah and Susie then returned home. Susie was a bit disappointed and sad for her friend as they were informed by Lucy's neighbor Jane that the family had gone. Sarah tried to comfort her daughter by saying that Susie should move on since she will get new friends in school. She can then play with them. Many days passed, and one fine day Peter, small brother of Susie, had informed Susie that he saw Lucy outside. Susie was very happy since listening this. But she was confused that why didn't she come home to meet her. Susie and Sarah went Lucy's home, and there they saw the father of Lucy. He was a bit strange. Susie said she wants to meet Lucy. It had been long time since they didn't play together. Lucy's father replied that her daughter was dead some months ago. Lucy and Susie were confused about this incident, how it is possible that Lucy came home and was seen by Peter, and here her father is saying that she was dead few months ago from severe illness. Susie didn't believe on him and said he must be lying. Sarah tried to comfort her daughter by saying Peter would have seen someone else and misunderstood her as Lucy. It could be someone else. Why would a father lie about his daughter's death? 2 weeks later, Mrs. Jane Watson, who was the neighbor of Lucy, visited Sarah and asked her to discuss on something serious. Sarah welcomed her and offered her a cup of coffee. Mrs. Jane said there is something wrong going on in Lucy's house. She said she noticed at night that the lady with whom Lucy's father is having an affair. She cries in pain terribly. Something is strange with her behavior. Sarah also shared her experience with her, like how she and her daughter went to Lucy's house to meet her, but she came to know that Lucy was dead because of pneumonia. Jane couldn't understand what Sarah was talking about. She said she saw Lucy yesterday. How it is possible that she is dead? Mrs. Jane was completely got flabbergasted upon hearing such tragedy. She just couldn't believe in what Sarah had just said. Sarah suggested Jane that they should consult a priest about this matter. Both of them went to priest for help, but the priest refused to help them at first because he was not sure whether both these women were right or not about what they saw. It could be their misunderstanding, and he said he is not an expert in exorcism. Later, Jane called Sarah and told that the women with whom Lucy's father was having an affair, she was gone now. She was admitted to the hospital. Though both Sarah and Jane were sad for that poor woman, but they also felt relieved, concluding that now everything is over. Lucy's ghost got what it wanted, and it is over now. Soon, everything was normal, and Jane again went to Sarah's house to deliver a good news that Lucy's mother has returned to home. Everyone felt good at this news. Sarah informed her husband whatever happened recently. He also felt relieved upon hearing the happy ending. Now, by then it was quite late at night. Sarah called her children and told them to go for sleep. It was their sleeping time, but just when they went for sleep, Peter, her younger child, came and said annoyingly, "Mom, tell Lucy to go her home. How am I supposed to sleep while she is sitting on my bed?" Sarah couldn't believe what Peter was saying. She was again so scared and screamed while seeing Lucy's ghost. Chapter 9: The Black Walls. This is a story of 3 friends, Akash, Dhruv, and Chirag. They shared their rental accommodation, which they got only in $15,000. It was a great deal for them. Though everything was fine until all of them started experiencing something eerie in that house. Something strange was going on, like their TV would stop suddenly in the middle of their favorite movie scene. The lights sometimes starts flickering for no obvious reason. They had called an electrician, but he didn't find anything wrong. All 3 used to give their opinion on this matter, like Dhruv is used to say that he felt some kind of ghostly presence here, but his Chirag and Akash used to make fun of him. Chirag was a skeptical person. He never believed in whatever was Dhruv saying, as he had no belief in ghosts. He always tries to explain those weird happening with his scientific explanation. For some time it was going on like this, until one day Chirag experienced the ghostly presence in the house. When he was using the washroom, he saw a ghostly figure with burnt face in the mirror. He was really scared. He told about this to his friends. All 3 decided that they will talk to the landlord, Mr. Vora, about this matter. There must be something wrong in this house, and he is hiding something about it. How can someone give this such beautiful house at just $15,000 for a month? They called Mr. Vora and asked him to come, but the landlord refused to come and said he is busy, he has to go somewhere. He was trying to avoid talking to them about it. But all 3 friends clearly said to Mr. Vora if he doesn't come to their accommodation and explain what is going here, then they will go to police and complain that their landlord is hiding something about their house, and it is causing so much trouble for them. Hearing such words, Mr. Vora accepted their invitation. He came to meet them. All 3 friends started questioning one by one about all these happenings in their house. They tell us the reason behind it. What is that you are hiding from us? Mr. Vora then explained that here had been a tragedy when the husband and wife were burned alive. There was some kind of short circuit happened, and the couples were heavily drank, There was a party going on here. Mr. Vora was also in that party. They were his distant relatives. He said he tried to give this room to many people, but none of them stayed here for more than a week, and it was a first time when Chirag had seen a ghost here. He also added that all these weird things start happening only when the furniture is moved. I requested you not to move the furniture no matter what, but you have not listened, and neither earlier tenants who lived here before. Just when he finished explaining, the black dust fell on his face, and he ran to exit door. There was scary voice of someone saying, "Liar. Murderer." Chapter 10. The Lodge. This is a story of two colleagues who were also good friends, Ankur and Mohit. Ankur was 2 years younger than Mohit and had a good physique as well. He was still a bachelor and was not interested in being a family man for another 4 to 5 years. While Mohit was a married man, he had a wife named Rui and an 1-year-old little daughter Sheena. He loved them very much. Both Ankur and Mohit made a plan to go on trip as they wanted to spend some time far from their hectic schedule. They really needed a break. At Ankur's suggestion, Mohit showed his interest for mountains. He wanted to experience the beauty of a remote place, while Ankur had already experienced it many times and was well aware of hilly areas. Ankur had booked a lodge in a remote valley. He found it while surfing the internet. He liked that place, and without wasting time, he made advance payment for the lodge. Now, both of them packed their belongings and got ready for their trip. They did their journey by the Volvo bus. It was estimated that they will reach in the morning by 10 o'clock. After a long travel, they finally managed to reach the destination. They left the bus and walked few kilometers. Ankur suggested Mohit that they can halt for some time and get a cup of tea. After searching for some time, they found a tea shop near the lodge. In that tea shop, they met an old man. He was very kind to both of them. While gossiping with him, Ankur and Mohit told him about staying in the lodge. Now, when that old man heard that they are going to stay at night in that lodge, he behaved differently, as if he knew something is wrong about that lodge, but he didn't throw much light on that matter. Now, after finishing their tea, both Ankur and Mohit again walked for few minutes. Soon they finally reached the lodge. There they met two men. They introduced themselves as Sham the caretaker and Kishan the cook. Now, just like that old man, these two men were also surprised to know that Ankur and Mohit are going to stay in the lodge tonight. Both Sham and Kishan declared that they are not going to stay here after 6. They also advised Ankur and Mohit not to stay here at night. But Ankur and Mohit couldn't understand why is everyone scared for them to stay at night. They wanted to know the reason behind all this, but no one seemed to reveal the actual reason. After a short rest, both went outside the lodge to get some fresh air and enjoy the beauty of the mountains. There was a stream near the lodge, just a few minutes away. It wasn't too deep, hardly 2 or 3 feet. When Mohit was simply standing there, something strange happened with him. He felt like someone had pushed him towards the stream. He thought at first it was Ankur who did it, but when he asked him, he completely denied it and said why would he do such an act knowing it's dangerous. Mohit was scared, and he couldn't understand how is it possible. Someone definitely pushed him towards the stream, but who? That remained a mystery. After enjoying outside, they decided to return to the lodge. When they returned, they got to know that the caretaker and the cook both had left the lodge already, although they left the dinner ready for them on the table. After finishing their tasty dinner, Ankur and Mohit went to sleep. While Mohit was sleeping peacefully, Ankur had a terrible experience at night. He was awfully disturbed by the strange, eerie ambient of that place. At last, somehow he managed to get a good sleep. But that wasn't for long. He woke up suddenly in the middle of the night and noticed that his friend Mohit was not there. Ankur immediately got up and tried to find Mohit panically. He found that the door was locked from outside. He shouted and called Mohit, but he didn't get any response. Ankur was very scared at that moment. He was thinking that he and his friend are going to get killed by someone. After Mohit, it was his turn. In the middle of his thoughts, he heard some noises. The door unlocked from outside and Mohit entered in the room. Ankur asked, "Where were you, Mohit? I was worried about." Mohit replied that he was sitting outside and couldn't hear his call. Now, without explaining much, Mohit again went to sleep. Though it was a big relief for Ankur that Mohit was fine and sleeping peacefully next to him. But he was mad at him and hated being with him at that moment. In the early morning, Ankur and Mohit got up and packed their belongings. They left the lodge and took the bus for their next destination. Ankur was not happy with the strange behavior of Mohit last night, but he didn't want to spoil the rest of their trip, so he paid tickets for their next destination. While traveling on the bus, Ankur was talking to Mohit about their next destination, Kulu. He said he will book a room there. He asked Mohit if he wants to do shopping so that he can grab something for his wife Rui. Mohit was sitting silently. He turned his head and looked at Ankur with an eerie expression as if he was possessed. Ankur was really scared to see him like that, and at the end of the one-side conversation, Mohit asked, "Who is Rui?" So, this was the summary of the book. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.